This is your Daily Mix. The following segment is sponsored by SilverSummit Health Plan.
Welcome, everybody, to your Daily Mix. Today, we are joined, of course, by Dr. Jeff Morawski with SilverSummit's Health Plan to talk about a topic that I think I've heard, unfortunately, far too much from parents in the last year or so because of COVID. And we're talking about mental health and mental health awareness. Dr. Jeff, this is a very poignant topic, especially now.
Yeah, it is. Our kids have gone back to school, a very different school than they went back to a couple of years ago. And there's a lot of stressors involved in that. And as parents and friends and guardians and teachers and educators and as a community, we really need to be very mindful and watch for the signs of mental illness and mental stress among our kids.
Yeah, and gosh, for the whole family as well. What are some of the signs that you are suggesting parents keep an eye out for?
In kids, really any major change in their behavior, if they were very outgoing and now they're not, if they weren't outgoing and now all of a sudden they are, you want to look for that. Obviously, if they appear helpless or hopeless, talk about not wanting to be around. Those are serious risk factors for potentially suicidal behavior. You need to act more quickly. But we're really looking at the small ones like, I'm really anxious, I'm really nervous. I'm just uncomfortable in school, which is something with all that's going on now. It's just become more normal.
Parents are there with teens. It's natural for them to be a little bit more quiet, but then you question, what is too quiet? When do you push and say, hey, we need to talk about this?
Actually, it's what we were learning is it's not so much about the push. It's actually about creating the space for them to talk. And if you do, they will. So as I learned with my kids, it's number one, never accept the answer of fine. Nothing is fine. It's a hard one. And the second thing is to be quiet and just create the space for them to talk to you about anything. And that anything will create that understanding. And all of a sudden, some of those signs and symptoms will start to come out when you talk about their video game or their friend or what they saw at school or something that interests them in the news. Any space creates that understanding.
I think when something like this happens too, as a parent, it would be really hard to make that first step. At what point do you say, really, this is kind of the time for you to go ahead and seek some professional help?
What I tell people, as soon as you ask yourself that question, it's time to talk to someone. And so that could be a school counselor, that could be your clergy if you really want to do, something a little softer. That could be something as simple as even calling one of the resources or texting one of the resources that are available and just asking questions as a parent or a friend or a guardian. Hey, I'm seeing this. What else can I do? And that's the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, the 1-800-273-TALK. Or if you like to text or your kids want to text, they can actually 741-741, and then they can send help or home or talk, any four-letter word basically. And it will get them started in a text conversation or you in a text conversation with some professionals to ask deeper questions that are very specific to your situation.
I bet that answer right there, Dr. Jeff, gave a lot of parents a little bit of a chills up their back because some of them out there have probably already said to themselves, maybe. And this really is something for the whole family as well. If one person is having an issue, it can affect others.
Yep, it does. The whole family feels the stress. And we have to all recognize right now, this is just a really stressful time. If you have kids going back to school in a new COVID school environment, you add the fires, you add, environmental stress, you add strain. It's a lot right now for our kids and for us. And so the first thing is if we all recognize, hey, these are really hard times, that's your first step. And if you've got concerns about an individual member, you can just start with their counselor, you can start with your clergy, you can ask your doctor, hey, I'm really concerned about X. These are all great resources you can talk to get help.
Yeah, and if people would like to reach out to you at SilverSummit Health Plan, how can they do that?
The best way really is through our internet site, www.silversummithealthplan.com. All the links I mentioned are on there in the patient resources that are there. There's also a bunch of stuff about our health plan and the plans that we offer in Medicaid, Medicare, and on the marketplace, just information and stuff that we share with our providers about what's going on in our communities.
Yeah, parents, if you heard something today and it clicked for you, make that call. Dr. Jeff, thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate it.
This segment was sponsored by SilverSummit Health Plan.